I, female 26, went on a family trip with my in-laws 2 weeks ago. Mother-in-law always thought that I was a bit ignorant and backward, and that just because I come from a lower-class family compared to hers, I have no etiquette. After we arrived at the hotel, they arranged to visit a fancy restaurant for dinner. My husband avoided telling me, and I learned it last minute after he had already gotten dressed. I asked where he was going, and he said that he and his family were going to eat out, but I wasn't invited because his mom assumed that since I wouldn't be familiar with the food and how to eat it there at the restaurant, then I should just stay in and eat at the hotel. I didn't argue. I just let him go, then packed and took the first flight home. He returned to the hotel, freaked out, and called many times. And when he found out that I had gone home, he blew up and called me ridiculous and irrational to do this. He even said that I acted ungratefully and embarrassed him in front of his family after he begged to have me go on the trip. We argued, and he started giving me the silent treatment after we came home. Moreover, his family indirectly criticizes me on Facebook for what I did. Did I overreact? Am I the idiot for going home after my in-laws excluded me from dinner at a restaurant? Edit. He didn't even mention what type of food they ordered. The family didn't plan on having me come along, but my husband, like he said, begged them to invite me. This isn't just with me. My brother-in-law's girlfriend wasn't invited as well. They paid for my expenses, so I didn't want to act like I was needy or something. What the heck did I just read? The only response should be, not the idiot. Your hubby is a massive idiot for not standing up for you, for going behind your back to a meal in a group vacation, for being surprised and upset that you left that vacation to go home, and is now giving you the silent treatment? Honey, I've never said this to a post, as it's just a snapshot of a relationship, but this relationship is toxic. You need to leave and not look back. He's never going to support you or choose you over his family. WTF? You are so low class you can't eat at a nice restaurant? What does that even mean? Run, run, run. The whole proper fork situation was dreamed up by middle-class new money to try and feel exclusive and elite. Aristos have poor people chew the food and place it in their mouths like baby birds because they screw those middle-class people, thinking they have the right to swallow nutrition. The irony is that your in-laws' boorish behavior of excluding you in such a way, and for such extremely lame classist reasons, is probably the lowest class thing they could do. Also, I hope this gets said in a lot of these comments. You definitely have an SO problem. He should have shut that garbage down when it started spewing from their mouths. OP, you need a new husband. His family is toxic, and he should have stuck up for you. Either you both go or neither. He didn't just not stand by you. He actively participated in excluding you. I hope you don't plan on having children in this family. Will they be second class in the family or just you? I always think of the scene in Pretty Woman where she doesn't know what utensil to use to eat escargot, and the rich oil tycoon, or whatever, sees she's out of her depth and shows her it's cool to eat them with her hands. People with real class will show you the ropes and be excited to share new experiences with their kid's partner. Not only would I have gone home, once there, I would have packed up my stuff, got divorce papers, and left. He is not worth staying married to, and his entire family are monsters. I, 21 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 26, for 3 years now, and we have a son who's a young toddler. Not too long ago, my son said his first word, and I decided that now might be a good time for me to teach him Polish, in addition to English. I've been speaking in Polish to him for the past few days, and I know he won't learn it straight away, but in a few years, he might be fluent. However, when my boyfriend saw me saying Polish words to him, he said that I should stop. I asked him why, and he said that it would be unfair if we could communicate with each other in a language he couldn't understand. He even said Polish wasn't a useful language to learn like Spanish or French. I acknowledge this, but I've continued to do it, even though my boyfriend has asked me to stop. I feel guilty, but I want to share my first language with my child. I also feel hurt that he doesn't care about my language. Unfortunately, he doesn't like my parents, and they don't like him, and he isn't interested in ever visiting Poland, so he doesn't have the incentive to learn Polish. Am I the idiot? I see why your parents don't like him. A 24-year-old knocked up a just 18 teen? Crap. This is one of those stories where I read it and want to go, I know what you think is the issue here, but I'm pretty sure this is just the tip of a messy, messy iceberg. Honey, I think your parents may have been onto something. Your culture is a significant part of who you are. If he does anything less than embrace who you are 100%, you need to think about that. Do not let him strip that part of you away. And there's no downside for a kid to learn a new language, especially when they learn it from birth. He said it would be unfair if we could communicate with each other in a language he couldn't understand. Boo-hoo! Then he better hurry up and learn Polish then. Your boyfriend doesn't have the right to dictate what language you speak to your child in. Further, it is good for children to learn multiple languages and cultures. Your boyfriend is being a controlling idiot. He sounds so insecure, like they'll be talking trash about him right in front of him, just because they can speak a language he doesn't. Like, why would he expect his girlfriend and his kid to talk bad about him? Your child had 2 parents, and learning 2 languages at that young age is incredibly beneficial. Time for this dude to download Duolingo or another language app and get started. I lost my wife, Lana, 20 years ago after the birth of our son. Lana and I were childhood sweethearts who saw ourselves growing old together. She was my everything. But during her pregnancy, they discovered she had cancer, and because she was already terminal, she dedicated the final months of her life to giving birth to a healthy son and ensuring that he and I would be okay. She died hours after he was born. I always knew I would consider myself married until I passed away. This was difficult for my family to understand. I was 26. They felt like I was young enough to bounce back fast, remarry, and continue life with a new family and love. But that never held any interest for me. I've never taken off my wedding ring. I've been asked out over the years, and I've always said no. And if pushed, that I'm married, and people rarely ask questions. Over the years, my family has introduced me to women who they think could be the one to change my mind. It's something we've disagreed over. They even asked my son if he wouldn't like a new mommy when he was little, resulting in no contact for a while. They eventually apologized. My sister and her husband celebrated 30 years of marriage last month, and they threw a party with family and friends. My sister invited a friend of hers who I had never met. She started talking to me during the party and mentioned that my sister said we'd be perfect for each other and that she was excited for us to spend time together after the party. I asked her what she meant by that, and she said we were going out to dinner, just the 2 of us, right after. I told her I never agreed to that, and I told her I was married. She got the idea that I was divorced. I told her my wife had passed away many years ago, but I considered myself still married. She was shocked, and afterward, my sister was angry at me. She told me I made her out to be a liar, and her friend was hurt that she tried to set her up with someone who was so hung up on someone else. I told her I had made it perfectly clear I would not be dating, and that she was the one who gave her friend the impression I wanted to date. She told me telling people I'm married when I'm not anymore is wrong, pushing people away and giving them the wrong idea. I left early because she wasn't willing to let it go. Afterward, my brother-in-law said my sister meant well, and I have to understand where the concern comes from because even though I found my own happiness, it's not how my family wanted me to be, and they worry even more now that my son is in college. Am I the idiot? I'm a widow, It's only been 4 years. My mom was widowed twice. My first dad died while she was pregnant with me. Mom told me we stay married in our hearts, souls, and minds. I found that no one understands that. I do. You're not the idiot all the way. It's nobody's business how long it's been. You're married, period. If no one understands, too bad for them. Time is relative. 4 years later, it feels like I just found his body, again and again. Take care. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. Your wife must have been as amazing as you. Be strong. Your sister is a huge one, as is the rest of your fam who messed with your son over this. Are they trying to imply you'll be lonely? Even if that were true, again, not their darn business. Not even if eventually you change your mind, especially if you do, that isn't their business. And then trying to force it is rude, condescending, meddling, patronizing, and crosses several lines and boundaries, which you seem to have been extremely clear about. I won't judge you if you go no contact with your sister and her dumb boyfriend. I know they're married, but his comment is just dumb boyfriend material. Your family needs to accept your choice. My soon-to-be ex-husband is the fourth family member with the same name. So for purposes of the story, he's John Allen Smith IV. It is very important to the family that the firstborn son is named that. His grandfather, father, and himself all have different nicknames, but still, their legal full name is the same. Not sure what would happen if one didn't have a son. It hasn't happened yet. Another important note, my soon-to-be ex had chemo in his 20s. It destroyed his chances of having kids naturally. He froze his sample prior, and we've used IVF 3 times. This was his last viable sample. So anyway, my soon-to-be ex and I were still together when I got pregnant. When we found out it was a boy, he asked if we could keep up the tradition. While my husband's name isn't one I love, I don't hate it, and we settled on a nickname for it that I liked, so whatever, it's cool. Then soon-to-be ex began having marital issues. He had an affair. I filed for divorce. I still planned on naming our son, which we agreed on. I also agreed with soon-to-be ex that he could still be in the delivery room. My soon-to-be ex didn't attend the birth, despite numerous people, including his mother, trying to get in contact. He acknowledged a text I sent after the baby was born, but never came to the hospital. Furious and hormonal, I decided to name my son what I always wanted if I had a little boy. It's not similar to my husband's name or the nickname we landed on. I gave the baby my soon-to-be ex's last name, as it's also mine, and I have no plans to change it, as I built my small business around it. He finally came by when my son was a week old. He blocked me on Facebook long ago, so he didn't see what I had named him. When I introduced him, my soon-to-be ex was surprised and asked why his name wasn't what we agreed. I explained that, given all that he had put me through, he forfeited all rights to pick the name. He was angry and left not long after. My soon-to-be ex's family says I was wrong to do this, and I broke tradition. He'll never have another son to do this with. I broke a multi-generational cycle. They claim I should have gone along with it. Even some of my family said it was cold. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's their tradition, but you're a baby. If he can't even be bothered to be at the birth, what will he be like co-parenting? The minimal effort is to show up, and he didn't do that. So he lost the right to have a say in the matter. He had an affair. He ruined his own life. Why should you be expected to name your child after a cheater? Exactly. His family says I was wrong to do this, and I broke tradition. You broke? Tell them. Our family tradition is that the father doesn't cheat on his pregnant wife and then not even show up for his first child's birth. He cares more about the name than his son. Ugh. I did the same to my ex, except it wasn't a family name, and he eventually had a kid with that name. When my ex came at me with, "But we agreed, you promised," I was quick to cite the other pretty big promise he had made and broken, the "till death do us part" one. For some reason, my female 32, sister 23, and her fiance 25 decided that the best way to celebrate before getting married was to have a joint bachelor and bachelorette party at strip clubs. They also hired a bus limo for the evening. The aftermath was, thus far, 3 breakups, 4 people dropping out of the wedding party, 1 impending divorce, and 1 arrest. The cleaning bill for the limo was also more than the original rental fee. She was crying to our mom at dinner the other day, and I snorted. I tried not to. I honestly did. I was trying my best just to keep my mouth shut. She asked me what was so funny. I said I wasn't sure what she expected to happen, to get a group of people intoxicated, using illicit substances, and watching exotic dancers. She said that I was an idiot for judging her and her friends. I said I wasn't judging, just that literally anyone could have seen that outcome. My mom told me to apologize because my sister's having to replace most of her wedding party on the fly. I did apologize, but I still think I'm right. Am I the idiot for asking my sister what she expected to happen at her crazy show of a bachelorette party? I don't really care about the "am I the idiot" part. I want to hear more about this night that ended in 3 breakups, 1 possible divorce, 4 dropouts of a wedding, and 1 arrest. Ha ha ha. That's kind of unique in the history of trashy bachelor and bachelorette parties. My God, please share more. I'll give the tamest example. My cousin is a talented singer. She's single and was supposed to sing a song during the ceremony. However, she hooked up with the maid of honor, who nobody knew had that in her, including her boyfriend. This happened in the limo bus. Boyfriend got arrested for trying to break into the bus while this was going on, and several people were cheering them on after locking him out. The other bridesmaid, who's married, cheated with 2 of the groomsmen. Her husband has left her because I guess this isn't the first time. I stayed primarily sober and stayed with my sister all night so she could party and not do anything too stupid. That's the tamest? This tea is piping hot. I legit wish a documentary crew had followed. I would watch 2 seasons of this. There's also a weird fervor in needing to have X number of bridesmaids. The sister's stress in needing to replace them overshadows the chaos of the breakups, divorce, and arrest. 100% of this outcome would have been predictable based on knowing the wedding party beforehand. Also, come on, it's an epic outcome. People may not agree with me, but I feel like everyone's the idiot here, except your sister, unless she was one of the cheaters. I've been to many bachelorettes. Cheating is a good choice. Even when a couple of people get trashed, everyone still ensured the bride or groom had a good time. Your sister can ask for whatever kind of party she wants, and if everyone goes overboard, that's on them. And then you totally didn't try to keep your snort or scoff in. You wanted to state your opinion, and you were judgmental and blamed her for these other crappy people. If anything, you should have been more supportive and talked about how these people don't seem like good influences or people that she should keep close to her. Yeah, like, unless you hate your sister, it's sort of normal to be upset that your friend group is in disarray and it's bleeding into your wedding because everyone went bonkers on what was supposed to be a fun night that everyone agreed to. OP, you can be an idiot while still being right. The situation was clearly a disaster waiting to happen, but you seem a bit like you were gloating or reveling in the drama. Update. The bus/limo came out as the worst victim in this whole debacle. It needs a major cleanup and maybe some upholstery replaced. My dad is paying and he's angry. After reading the comments, I went to see my sister this morning and sincerely apologized. She asked me to be the matron of honor and I accepted. We still need someone to sing the rose during the ceremony since my cousin is persona non grata. I only know about the breakups from hearsay, but suffice it to say that getting a group of friends who have a lot of intimate history together and giving them unlimited alcohol and then taking them out to a club is a terrific idea if you're not getting married in a week.